Hey guys, so I am back again with my fourth review in this MCU series, and this time we are talking about the black sheep of the MCU, which is the Incredible Hulk. There's a reason why this is the black sheep in the family. I feel it's probably my least favourite one, to be honest. Like, it gets a bad rap, and I don't think it's a bad movie. Like, it isn't. It's just the most unremarkable and the most boring, because even in the Marvel movies that are a bit lesser, like Iron Man 2 or Thor the Dark World, there's at least something in those movies where if someone brought it up, I'd be like, oh yeah, I like that bit. Like, I can remember that bit and I can say, yeah, I like that. There's nothing in The Incredible Hulk that is memorable enough to say to someone, oh yeah, I like it for that. Like, there's nothing terrible in it. It's not a bad movie. It's better than the 2003 version by Ang Lee. It's a better movie than that. But it's just dull. Like, it's the one MCU movie where I feel like you need to be in a specific mood to watch it, or the only other reason you would watch it would be if you're doing what I'm doing, like a whole binge watch of all of them. It doesn't help that it's also the least consequential. Like, this movie came out in 2008. Hulk got recast by 2012, and another character from this movie didn't even turn up for another 8 years, and like 2 phases later, and so it's like it does feel forgotten, and it's just a bit dull. Like, plot wise, there's very little plot. Like, in the opening credits, you see the origin story of Hulk, which I think is a smart idea because, like I said, this came out in 2008, there was a Hulk movie in 2003. I think it would have just annoyed people if they literally told the exact same origin stories 5 years later. Like, people were annoyed when The Amazing Spider-Man told Spider-Man's origin from the first Sam Raimi film, and that was 10 years in the difference. So, like, it's nice that they were able to tell that origin story without having to spend so much time doing it. Kind of like how Marvel were able to incorporate Spider-Man's origin story into the MCU without having to tell it, which I thought that was a genius storytelling move, and I think this was kind of the forefather, like the precursor to it in a way. But other than that, like, the whole movie is just Bruce on the run trying to cure himself, and it's like, that's fine as a story, but there's no stakes, there's no dramatic stakes. Like, it's just him travelling from place to place, having a Hulk rage out moment, and then just going to that other place. And, like, it doesn't feel like there's much of a plot guiding it other than, oh, the Hulk is travelling from place to place, trying to find a cure. And even then, I don't necessarily love the whole idea of Hulk trying to find a cure, because I feel as though that sort of takes away from the interesting bit of the Hulk, which is not only just the Hulk raging out on people and smashing stuff, but also the living with the monster narrative that I think was later incorporated into Mark Ruffalo's portrayal, which I think is far, far superior to Edward Norton. Like, I'm not knocking Edward Norton as an actor, but his version of Bruce Banner is like watching paint dry. He is so boring in this movie, and I think it's what makes the movie a little bit hard to sit through at times, because this feels the least MCU, like, of any of the films. Like, I know Iron Man didn't have a lot of the later formula, and I know some people complain about Marvel films for having a formula, but Iron Man got away with it because Robert Downey Jr. was amazing in the role. But Edward Norton was just bland and uninteresting, and there was no one in this movie that felt interesting other than General Ross. Like, he was, for me, probably the standout thing in this movie, because he should only be, on paper, he should only be like a one-dimensional army guy, but he just, I know William Hurt plays him, but I know that, but he brings so much to that role that shouldn't even be there on when you think about it, but it's there. So that he is by far the best thing in this movie, and I'm very glad that he comes back many years down the line. But yeah, I don't buy Liv Tyler as a scientist, and I don't buy the romance, and the villain, Abomination, is kind of just a little weak. Like, it doesn't help that he's literally introduced through Suicide Squad monologuing. But yeah, like, that's, like, for any of you who don't understand that reference or that idea, is in Suicide Squad, Katana's introduced by literally a secondary character as being like, watch out for this person does this, and her ability powers are this. It feels very much like that when Abomination's introduced. It's just like someone to the side being like, this guy's an army guy, he's a soldier, he can fight, and it's never a good way, never ever ever a good way to introduce your villains, and I wish that trope would just die. But so, like I said, like, the villain's kind of weak, the main character is kind of weak. Like, there's not a lot in this movie that's particularly strong. I feel like it's a decent enough made film. Like, the one thing that is starting to stand out to me a little bit is there's an opening, the first action sequence of the film takes place in a Brazilian, I believe, fizzy drink factory, and it has kind of a horror movie vibe to it. I think that's kind of cool, but when that's the only standout thing in the movie, it's just a completely average film. And like I said, it's my least favourite MCU movie, and I'm just glad it's out of the way. That being said, it's not a bad movie, it's a competently made film. I just didn't find much of interest in it, and I'm just looking forward to seeing the Mark Ruffalo Hulk in later films, because I think that is a much better representation of that character than this movie. Overall, I'm going to give it 6 out of 10. Watch it if you want to just say you've watched all the MCU movies. If not, I think there's probably a Hulk cartoon or even a cheesily made 70s TV movie that's probably a better representation than this. So anyway, I will talk to you guys again soon. Until then, bye.